Welcome back to the College Corner, all things college, answering all your questions, giving you tips, tricks, and hacks and advice just to navigate through college, whether you're a current college student, aspiring to go to college, a parent, or supporter of a college student. We have got you covered. I'm Amber, the creator of the Adulting Queen, and you can find me on all platforms. And I went to SUNY College at Old Westbury for my bachelor's degree in psychology, and I went to Hofstra University for my master's degree in higher education and leadership policy studies.
Okay, there's the mic. Okay. So, hello everyone. I'm Deanna Joy, and I attended Tennessee State University in middle of Tennessee, the heart and capital of Nashville. And I had my lovely degree in accounting. And I feel like I was there. My dad always said you had 4 years to do the job, and I took advantage of all 4 years from literally the minute I stepped on campus. So I appreciate my HBCU experience truly. But yeah, I'm excited to get into the topic of today.
Yes, and I also did finish in 4 years. I feel like that's important to say because the average is like 6 to 8 or
Hmm.
like 4 to 8, something like that for people to finish. But you can finish in 4 years. You can
Yes.
finish sooner. Some people finish 3 years, 3.5 years. As long as you finish is what matters, and finishing in the most financially responsible way for yourself
Absolutely.
is what matters. And today we're going to give you advice. We'll really give our younger selves advice when we were in college, but we feel like all these things will be super helpful for where you are in your college journey. And my first one is to connect with my professors. I do not talk to any professors, not for my bachelor's degree. My master's degree, I do have two professors I can reach out to. We're connected on LinkedIn. But from my bachelor's degree, I did not connect with my professors at all. And I probably mentioned this previously in a video. If you haven't subscribed and gone back to all our other College Corner videos, check those out. But I did not graduate with above a 2.0 GPA. I think my GPA was like a 2.7 or something like that. But I failed a class my first semester, I think it was. And I think I might have failed one my second semester too. I don't remember when the next F came, but I know I had a couple Fs. And Fs will drop your GPA significantly, and it's really hard to get it back up after that. But I feel like if I had connected with my professors academically, I would have been able to probably get assistance, maybe if there was like coursework or stuff that I didn't know or didn't understand. But honestly, looking back, I think I really just was not setting aside enough time to really
Mm,
like study and do my assignments and things to the best of my ability. Like I was not putting the best effort. But even still, if I got to know my professors, I feel like that would have given me a little bit more accountability. And then I just would have been able to get resources or connected with opportunities or things academically that I wouldn't have known about otherwise because I was never talking to them or trying to interact with them.
No, that's a good point of view, though. I feel like having your master's allowed you to do that rinse, repeat, and do something different that next go round.
Yes, because my master's degree, I definitely graduated with like a 3.8. It was a complete turnaround, but I also feel like it was because I was interested in my bachelor's degree, but I had to take the general ed classes, so math, science, Spanish or language, all those things. In Spanish, I did not do well in. I think I got like a C in Spanish. That's also because I took Italian in high school, but I think I couldn't go to take Italian in college either because it wasn't being offered, or you had to take something before, like a prerequisite. I was like, just give me Spanish. This should be easy. No, it was not because I was confusing all the words because Italian and Spanish are very
Hmm.
similar, just a little bit different spellings. But I think that my master's degree, it was also more focused. It's like, okay, your master's degree, you're picking this because you want to go into this professionally and work in that field.
Yeah,
So you kind of take it a little more seriously. And also, I already had some of the knowledge just from being a student leader and being in the mentorship program I was in. So it was just different. And it only was 2 years versus 4 years.
yeah, yeah. For me, it was one of those things that being the youngest in my family, everybody had their stories, everybody had their different experiences. And so my brother did the 2 years at a big university and then came back home. My sister did all 4 years. She did 4 year 4 or 5 year degree in engineering. So like she was above and beyond always. She had a 3.0. So as a baby, I knew I had to pave my own route. But little did I know, dropping 4 credits my freshman year, because I didn't want the F. because I wasn't showing up, was just as equivalent to dropping an F class.
Yeah,
Um,
yeah, yeah. Because then you still have to make up those credits if
yeah,
you drop a class, which I did drop a class before too. Yeah. Basically talk to your professors and your advisors to know what
please.
it is you're doing and what is putting you on the right track to graduate on time, and make sure you're taking the
Absolutely.
classes you need.
Yeah. Another thing I will say from just to younger self, also be aware of how your funds are coming in. Because my freshman year was the only time I saw a refund check and I did not know how to spend it. And so, just like everybody else, it was spent on food and clothes. And I was just kind of one of
Yes.
those following what everybody else was doing with theirs, thinking I was going to get another one next semester. No, I didn't do the same applications to scholarships. So I didn't have the same refund. I didn't have the same outcome. So it was completely different. And always stay ahead of your scholarships for a reason. Let me
One, to
be
make sure
your
that they
example.
send them to you, because sometimes they make mistakes and forget, or like you don't know when it's coming. You don't know if it was sent to the school or if it was sent to
That's,
you.
yeah. Make sure the details matter. And also those deadlines, because there's so many times when it comes to just you're thinking you're waiting on somebody else, but they're waiting on you. And if you don't follow up, that's the same thing, just even with your professors. If you didn't follow up with them, that relationship wasn't built. They don't know who you are. There's so many things when it comes to that I'm glad I did do the first round, because I didn't go get my master's right out the gate and right after. And I am now kind of like, oh, I want to go back and get my master's. I'm like, but who's paying for it? Totally different. Um, so I will say, um, creating those relationships really changed how my experience was also in college too.
Yep. And for my master's, mine was free, thankfully, because I did an assistantship, so I did not pay for my master's degree. I
Hmm.
did go straight after undergrad, so 4 years undergrad, straight to my master's degree. That was free. I paid like the student fees, which was like a couple $100 compared to $10,000
That's
tuition at a private school. So I will take it. Which actually leads to my next advice to myself, was that I made the right choice going to an in-state school. I went to SUNY Old Westbury, as I mentioned, which is in the state of New York, State University of New York. However, whatever the acronym for SUNY is, SUNY, that is the New York State system, as well as CUNY, which is for the City University, New York, whatever the acronym is. But it gives you in-state tuition for living in New York. My dream school, and where I thought I was going to go, and I kept telling everybody I was going to go, was to Virginia State. But once I realized that being out of state was going to cost more money, way more
hmm
money, I was like, we're just going to stay right in state. And I think it still was a great choice for me. And I always think, like, would I have changed the school I went to? And I am in the minority of people that really did enjoy their undergraduate experience
yeah.
and am not regretful of my degree. I'm not regretful of the school I went to. Are there
hmm
things I didn't like? Yes, but I do not regret my school. I don't really wish I went anywhere else. I don't wish that I had a different journey through college. I would change a couple things, but I wouldn't like take away the whole experience that I had. So staying in state was the right choice. But on the other side, I will say, if you really want to go out of state and you want a new experience, that you should start planning now of how you can make that possible. Because I know with the cost of education, people will write off going out of state because of the cost. But if you plan, you get scholarships, you have opportunities that will reduce or have you have a free ride for it,
hmm
like, it's possible. So I wouldn't write it off until you really start comparing numbers and seeing what assistance you can get. I hate when people are helping students and they're like, no, you're never going to go there because it's out of state. That's not true if you plan and if
That's.
you figure out your pros and cons and where your assistance would be coming from. It could be possible for you to go out of state. And then with staying in state, it's like your college will afford you a lot of opportunities to
hmm
travel. You can do study abroad, you can get internships other places, you can do exchange programs where you're able to go study at another college for a semester or something like that. So staying in state doesn't mean you'll never get away or get out.
hmm Yeah, I stayed in state as well. And so I completely agree. But I did say every college I applied for was at least 3 hours away from home. Um, that was
Yeah.
like my bare minimum, at least. But I will say it wasn't until the looking at like the 4 year difference of financially would have been totally different.
And that's,
Um,
oh my God, you
yeah,
I hate also like students because I work in education. I work with 12th graders looking to go to college. I work with college students. And I hate as well that our culture is like go to school, go to school, go to school, get there. It's great. But then when you get there, you don't realize that you're going to have to pay this or do this for 4+ years.
that.
And exactly what you said before, that like you had a scholarship but that was only for your first year, you didn't realize it wasn't for the next couple. So when
Hmm.
I talk to my students, I do add up all 4 years and just say like, if you don't have financial aid, this is what it's going to be.
Yeah.
And they are amazed because some of the schools after 4 years you're paying like $80,000 and they're like, I did not realize like this is what
Hmm.
this meant at
Just
all.
to
And I'm
attend.
sorry to cut you off, but I'm just very
No, a
passionate
hundred
about
percent,
that part.
absolutely. That was my determining factor of choosing Tennessee State University versus Tuskegee, um, and Clarksville. Not Clarksville, but Clark's. Clark Atlanta.
Yep.
Um, but Clark Atlanta wouldn't have freshmen have cars, and I was about to go out of state and not have a car, so that was another thing for me. I knew freshman me needed to have an escape route if I need to. Um, but the other piece I also looked into for the difference was that 4 year outcome. Even if I was getting some sort of scholarships, because that was every time we would go visit a college, me and my dad would also go to the scholarship office. So
Mm-hmm.
I knew where to go. It wasn't something unfamiliar for me when it came time for me knocking on somebody's door asking for some money. So I was introduced before I was even there. And so I did that at every HBCU I attended. And so that allowed me also not to be scared of going to ask for the funds, and also knowing where to go look for it too, because you just never know what scholarships are out there.
Yep. Yes. And then my last one goes into telling myself to find more scholarships and start saving money. I again went to an in-state school, so tuition at the time, I think I forgot how much it was, but after you paid for the room and board and tuition, I believe it was only like 7,000 a semester, which is cheap,
No, it
very
is. That's
cheap
literally what I was paying too. So I
compared
think
to
75, something like that. Yeah.
compared to what's happening now. That is very cheap. So my school costs like $14,000 a year.
Yeah.
My last 2 years I was an RA, so I didn't have to pay for housing. That was like $6,000, $7,000 a year. So that really saved me $14,000.
Truly.
So I left school with like 30 something thousand dollars of debt, which is not bad again either. However, with interest, do I still owe about 30 something thousand dollars? Yes.
Sorry
But
to hear it. Yes.
yeah, but
Incentive for
I think
scholarships.
that finding more scholarships would have just helped decrease that. Again, I think that for me, because I don't regret my degree and I
Hmm.
feel that the student debt that I have is manageable, but I understand when people are like $100,000, $200,000 in debt, that can really be a lot and like feel very defeating. But I would just look for more scholarships. I know I did a lot before I went to school, but once I got to school, I really don't remember myself looking for scholarships or like going to financial aid to ask about that kind of stuff.
Yeah.
And I always was working too. My first year, I didn't necessarily work a regular part-time job, but I would do stuff on campus, like when they would pay you to do
Hmm.
admission tours or like
Yeah.
do something for the newspaper or do this photo thing and we'll give you money. So I would do stuff like that. And then when I would go home for breaks, I would work back at Stop and Shop. So I would do summers and winter break there, but I never really was like saving anything. So I think that I do wish I started saving money because I did work my sophomore year, like the whole school year. Then even I think my junior and senior year I worked too because I worked at Stop and Shop my sophomore year. I had transferred from my hometown to the by my school. Then my junior year I was working at Coldstone because I also worked at Coldstone. That was my first job ever, so I was
Nice.
able to like work at the one there. And then I was an RA, and then I worked at Gap for a little bit, but again was not saving any money. Like, I mean, I had money in my bank account but I wasn't saving anything, so I think just getting into saving earlier would
Hmm.
have helped a lot.
Oh yeah. That was definitely gonna be my biggest advice was budget out everything, not just the money that you're earning if you're at your part time job or whatever the case, but know how to budget your refund, know how to budget if somebody from family gives you $200 sporadically, know what to do with that money too. I feel like I got into what I'm doing now with Budgets by Joy because I did have that advice going into college. And my dad, I couldn't ask for any money from my dad without showing him my budget.
I remember you said that.
And
Yes,
yeah,
yeah. But
so
that's
I'm
a
like,
really good
I definitely
habit.
have that in mind because I was even like, we called it like dining bucks, I guess, DB, or book vouchers, whatever the dollars or vol dollars you may have. But those are things that on campus, off campus vibe you feel of going to that Starbucks or Chick-fil-A
Yeah.
on your campus. I was budgeting that too. There was absolutely no time that I was not thinking about the fact that I didn't want to call my dad for the money. So I had to figure out how to budget this money, and or I'm asking everybody who got in the car for a Walmart run for $20. Um, and those are things that the
Yes.
reason why like where I'm at now is because there's so many things I did then at 18 that like really shaped who I am now. I
Yeah.
will say.
Yeah.
Yeah. But even my last thing I would also say is even if you go into your freshman year undecided or have a career in mind, don't have to pressure yourself to stay in that inside of that one industry. I thought a couple of times that I was going to get out of accounting, but I also went in with accounting in mind. So like there was plans I had. They may have changed throughout the time, but I always knew how to use my degree. But I had friends who started in business, changed to other things, and those are lost hours in a sense that you're not going to get back. So have that thought process in mind if you really like long term want to be on TV or long term want to be on radio or being in an office space. Know the things that you are doing now is going to be something you're going to do forever. Um, and those 4 years in college test the waters on everything. Because I literally interned every
Yes.
summer, every semester. I was interning at every situation. Um, and so I learned that because my sister told me to not say no to anything when it came to internships. And I didn't know the advice I was getting then was literally like the fact that I felt like a free bird when I came to senior year. Like, oh yeah, I had that experience. I have that experience.
Yep.
And I can talk from my actual experience. Like, I don't want to be back in a big corporate setting ever again. Like, I know better. But those are things that I had to learn to get to that point too. So even if you don't know like exactly where you are going right now, it's okay. You
Yeah.
don't have to figure that out. You still.
Yeah. I agree. I like again, I'm in such a unique scenario, and so are you, that we like are doing what we went to school for, which
True.
is really nice. But I think that to have the understanding that that is not the case for everybody is a
Mm-hmm.
such a skill that people don't have at all. Because they'll just be like, "How aren't you decided?" But I feel like now students watching this, you have a lot more options than we had when we were in college as far
Mm-hmm.
as paths you can take and even just the resources available, and then the
So
access
true.
to technology and the access to really being able to connect worldwide with people and stay connected because of social media and like LinkedIn and being able to utilize those things.
Mm-hmm.
So take advantage of that to really try to narrow down what it is that you want to do, because you could feel like you don't know what you want to do or you're dead set on being a doctor. But then when you realize there's a part of you that's like, I don't know if I want to do this or not, you feel bad because you're like, I already went through these years. I
Yeah.
already have done this. So I encourage you to talk to different people in different fields and take advantage of any opportunities, like you said, Deanna, and just say yes, because once you graduate college, you don't get those opportunities that you have while you're in college again.
Mm-hmm.
You can still network with people. Your college can still be a resource when you go back to the alumni office or their career office, but it's not the same at all as when you're actually a student and in it.
Absolutely. And I would say the last advice I would give to myself as a freshman or coming into a freshman year is just be yourself. You will find
Yes.
genuine friends by being yourself. You will also be a happier person just being yourself. Those who are kind of putting on a facade or come to college with new character in mind, they are putting on a lot of energy that necessarily they don't have to. Um,
Yes.
and I feel like I had to learn the friendship situation after my first semester. After that first year of like my first, I just did all the mess ups in one semester as a whole. And I came back into college with a whole different mindset. But I had to learn from experience that not everybody's your friend either.
Yeah, yeah. And then you talking about friendships made me think about like going to college. I was not scared or nervous to like go to college, and I
Yeah.
didn't know anybody going there. I mean, we met like people on Facebook beforehand, like starting
Hmm.
like the groups and stuff, but I didn't know anybody. And I'm trying to think back to like why wasn't I nervous or like worried or scared? And then even when I think about like moving to Miami, a place I had never been. I wasn't really like nervous or anything. I was
Yeah.
just like, yep, I'm just going here. But what I think made me not as nervous is thankfully my parents have always gone with me or moved
Hmm.
me or been there. So I think that that's kind of what it was too, that like I wasn't completely on my own taking the first steps there or
Yeah.
whatever I was doing. Because even when I interned in Texas A&M Commerce, which is outside of Dallas in the middle of nowhere, again,
Yeah.
never have been there, but I was like, I'm going. I'm so excited. But my parents came with me still, so I think that
Nice.
helped a lot. So that would be a piece of advice that if you are going somewhere unfamiliar, or even if it's still at home, going to college is scary. See if your family member or somebody can come with you. Again,
Yeah.
can sound common, but I know that a lot of people might not have community or family that's around them to help. So even ask like a close friend, a close family member, somebody if it's not your parents that are able to go with you,
Yeah.
because
I think for
that
me,
helps you.
I did my freshman year, my parents came, my sophomore year, my sister came. And then junior year, I was already living off campus at that point. So it's kind of like
Yep.
those little moments were kind of dry. They didn't happen too much after that. But I will say, I finding relationships outside of your school too. So like local
Yes.
nonprofits or local places that can return potentially turn into a career too, even if it's a church. That was one thing for me that my church, my parents introduced me to members of the church, which was literally walking distance from campus. So like I had community outside of my community. And then also I lived in Nashville where my dad's best friend grew up. So I had family outside, extended family truly within arm's reach.
Yeah, people
And
know
that led
people
me
for
to being
sure.
way more comfortable in the city, coming from a very rural area.
Yeah. Yeah. So those
Yeah.
were all of my tips. Did you have anything else to add?
No, I feel like that last one was definitely just a cherry on top that I feel like I had to learn by doing it wrong at first. So,
And that's
advice
what
to
we're
younger
here.
self, we can do it
Exactly.
right the first time.
And that's what we're here to help people that are in college, looking to go to college, so that you don't make the mistakes that we made. Or even if you do,
Yes.
you're like, oh, they told me about this and I did it, but I'm going to be okay even
Hmm.
after doing that.
Yes, because I'm like, joy came from college just because everybody was tripping over my first name. I'm like, you can call me my middle name. But like, it doesn't have to be hard. But
They were
I
tripping over
also like
Deanna. That's not
embraced
that
it's,
hard.
yeah, but I also embraced saying I learned to love my middle name then too, because nobody else knew it. So it's kind of certain things like I learned to love myself in so many different ways when I went to college. So
Yep.
appreciate yourself in every manner.
Yes. And you can find me on all social media platforms, The Adulting Queen, TikTok, Instagram, LinkedIn, Facebook, website. And then on the YouTube channel, there is a whole nother playlist of more College Corner videos. And you can tune in also to Sip and Sunday, the podcast. So that is where you can find me.
Awesome. And if you aren't tuned in already, go ahead and subscribe to both of us as well. We're on all the channels as well of Budgets by Joy, and that's Budgets with an S and Joy with an I, because my mom made sure I was different. And I am definitely on every platform from TikTok to Instagram to YouTube. I'm happy to help and don't have hesitations on making a comment on anything. Our goal is here to help you. So
Yes.
happy Friday, or no, it's Saturday now.
Whatever
So,
day you're watching this,
right.
happy day.
Exactly. Enjoy your day and go check your bank accounts.